In this video, I'll be sharing my top 7 cameras for content creation, vlogging, and YouTube. I'll go through a few options around $500 as well as all the way up to $2,500. And by the end of the video, you're gonna know exactly what you'll get for your money and which camera is best for you. So grab a cup of coffee or maybe some tea or whatever it may be, and let's get right into it. Coming in at number 7, we have none other than the OG original Sony ZV-E10. The reason this camera is still so popular, even though it's a little dated, is due to the bang for your buck factor. At $600, it's still one of the best cameras you can buy. And here's a few reasons why. It's an interchangeable lens APS-C camera, and Sony has the widest selection of lenses, both affordable and high-end. Sony also has the best autofocus in the game. The camera is small, compact, and lightweight, while giving you 4K footage, downsampled from 6K. It's a very compelling choice, but there are a few things I don't like, which is why it came in at number 7. The first one is that it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, also known as IBIS, and it also has an additional crop when active digital stabilization is enabled, making it a little too tight for walking while talking shots. The menus are a little complex, and navigating them can be a bit tedious. It doesn't have an EVF, which is that eyepiece you look at when you want to frame up your shot. And lastly, the footage is only 8-bit, while most cameras these days offer 10-bit. But none of these things have stopped people from making high-quality content with this affordable little camera. So in my opinion, it's a great entry into the Sony ecosystem. Next, we have the Fuji X-M5, which will set you back around $900. It's an APS-C camera, just like the ZV-E10. And APS-C cameras have a 50% crop compared to full-frame cameras. And all that means is that the image is going to be automatically zoomed in 50%. So if you want to vlog with APS-C cameras, you're going to need a very wide lens. But the XM5 doesn't have IBIS, and you'll have to switch on the electronic stabilization. And that's going to add an additional crop, which is doable for vlogging, but it's borderline too tight, because at the end of the day, you're a person, not just a floating head. And another drawback is the lack of an EVF. So why does this camera cost so much more than the ZV-E10? Well, for starters, it offers 10-bit video and the ability to shoot an open gate, which means that you can use the footage for both horizontal and vertical delivery without having to shoot twice. It's the only camera in this price range that offers open gate recording. And if you ask me, that's the main selling point of this camera, aside from the awesome Fujifilm color science. But the biggest downside of this camera is the unfortunate fact that the autofocus still kinda sucks. And for most content creators and vloggers, autofocus isn't something we can compromise. But if you prioritize open gate shooting over autofocus, then this is a very compelling little camera. Coming in at number 5, we have the Nikon Z52, priced around $1,000. It's also an APS-C camera, and similar to the 2 previous cameras I mentioned, it doesn't have IBIS, and also incurs an added heavy crop when the digital stab is turned on. It doesn't have open gate, but it does shoot 10-bit video. And if you're wondering what's the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit, it's mainly that 10-bit gives you more color combinations, resulting in smoother gradients. What the Z52 has that both the XM5 and the ZV-E10 are missing is an EVF. For vlogging, all you really need is a flippy screen, which every camera on my list has. But keep in mind that taking still images is still a big part of content creation, no pun intended. And the EVF really helps with taking photos, especially in bright sunlight, where it's hard to see the LCD screen. The autofocus on the Z52 is a step ahead of the Fuji X-M5, but isn't on the same level as Sony or Canon. All in all, if you're looking for an affordable camera with decent autofocus that can shoot 10-bit video, has a flippy screen, and an EVF, then this is a nice option. Next, we have the Sony ZV-E10 II, which has some pretty big shoes to fill, and in my opinion, it fills them pretty well, so long as you don't mind paying an extra $400 over the original ZV-E10. It's also an APS-C camera that can shoot 10-bit video, giving you clean and crispy 4K footage. It has the same sensor as the Sony FX30, which Sony classifies as a cinema camera. So in terms of dynamic range and overall image quality, it's pretty up there. It has a larger battery than the original ZV-E10 and also has updated menus for easy operation. The autofocus is next level, which in my opinion makes it amongst the best entry-level cameras, not only for vlogging and content creation, but even for professional filmmaking. The only advantage I see in the Nikon Z52 is that it has an EVF, while the ZV-E10 II only has a flippy LCD screen. It also doesn't offer open gate, so the XM5 has it beat there. But for me, neither open gate nor an EVF is as important as having reliable autofocus, which the ZV-E10 II most definitely has. If my budget was $1,000 and I wanted a camera that I could vlog and make content with for years to come, then this would be my top pick. The main downside of this camera is that it doesn't have IBIS, and the active digital stabilization mode also incurs a pretty heavy crop. Coming in at number 3, we have the Canon R50, priced at about $600. Now you may be wondering why this camera comes in ahead of the ZV-E10 II, because on paper, Canon cameras generally have very lackluster specs. But when you actually get out there and use them, you realize that they just work. The R50 has both an EVF and a flippy screen, which is great. And while it doesn't have IBIS, the digital stab only adds a 10% crop, which isn't much considering the other cameras add up to 40%. The R50 can shoot 4K video, which is downsampled from 6K, so you're going to get a nice clean image. It also offers a 10-bit video mode called HDR-PQ. But personally, I prefer to shoot in log, which the R50 doesn't offer, so I end up using the normal 8-bit mode instead. That's the main downside of this camera, but the fact that it has an EVF, a flippy screen, crispy 4K footage, beautiful Canon colors, easy to use menus, and awesome autofocus, while only setting you back $600, makes this one of the best choices in this price range. I have a feeling Canon is going to be coming out with a new entry-level camera pretty soon, so if it does, I'll try and remember to add it to the links in the description below. Next we have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and even though it's priced at only $500, when it comes to vlogging and content creation, in my opinion, it tops every other camera I discussed so far. Now I'll be the first to admit that even though it offers 10-bit video in a log format, which looks amazing, it doesn't look quite as amazing as any of the previously mentioned cameras, but it gets pretty close. The difference in image quality is due to its 1H sensor, while all the other cameras I mentioned come with larger APS-C sensors. Not being able to switch out lenses is also a limitation. So why would I put this at the number 2 spot? Well, it's a camera and a gimbal combined into a super compact device that gives you super smooth footage with above average image quality. The autofocus works great and the gimbal tracks you as you walk around, simulating a cameraman. Another crucial point is that it's just so inconspicuous. People hardly notice it, which makes it much easier to vlog with. Those larger hybrid cameras can make people uncomfortable, not to mention how tired your arm gets from holding them. But on the other hand, pun intended, the Osmo Pocket 3 weighs about as much as a small banana. The ease of use is also another big advantage. You just turn it on and go. There's hardly any learning curve. So here we are on the Osmo Pocket 3. I'm shooting in D-Log. Got the DJI Mic 2 transmitter, and it's looking pretty good on the LCD screen. Super smooth. Amazing little camera for $500, I must say. And if you're thinking about getting one, I'd strongly recommend you get the Creator Combo. It only costs $100 more and comes with the DJI wireless mic, a small tripod, a battery grip, and a carrying case. Honestly, once you start using this little guy, it's hard to go back to those larger cameras. But if you want the best image quality possible and you're looking for the most beastly content creation and vlogging camera, then this next camera is the way to go. Coming in at number 1, we have the Lumix S5 II, which in my opinion is the best value camera on the market. It's a full frame, interchangeable lens camera that combines the strengths of every other camera on this list into one supercharged beast of a camera. It'll set you back about $1,800, but here's why. It's the image quality. It's 10-bit and can shoot in V-Log for easy color grading. The autofocus is extremely reliable. It has the best IBIS on the market, making the footage look like it was shot using a gimbal. The built-in fan ensures you can shoot as long as you like without any overheating issues, even in hot environments. The battery life is excellent. It has a flippy screen and an EVF. It can shoot in open gate and even has anamorphic modes, along with many other advanced filmmaking features. If you pair this camera with the 18mm f1.8, here's what it looks like. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is an expensive lens and camera combination, but in my opinion, it's the best vlogging setup that money could buy. Make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future reviews and tutorials. I left links in the description below to all the cameras and the gear that I talked about. And the camera that you choose is important, but it's not as important as it used to be, considering all the AI tools that are coming out recently. And that's why I highly suggest you watch this video next, where I talk about 10 of the best AI tools for content creators. I appreciate you watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. It's Flan Creative, and I'm out. Peace.